Okay. Good.
We're now live.
Okay, great. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Dobbs Elementary Go Team meeting, where we will follow the agenda as it has been emailed to you and publicly noticed. I would like to remind everyone that this is a meeting of the Go Team. Only members of the Go Team may participate in the discussion. Any members of the public present are here to quietly observe. For members of the Go Team, please identify yourself when you speak. I'm pleased to call this meeting of the Dobbs Elementary Go Team to order at 4:02 p.m. And our first order of business is to call the roll. Ms. Antunez.
All right. Can you please respond present when your name is called? Ms. Tiffany Reagan,
Present.
Ms. Alexis Ofadile, Ms. Shan Hines, Ms. Brianna Spence,
Present.
Ms. Bernadine Connor,
Present.
Ms. Tina Quinn, Ms. Jennifer James,
Present.
and Ms. Kristen Reed.
I'm here.
All right. I have one more, Ms. Celinda Adams.
This team will only be able to take official action if a quorum is present. Ms. Antunez, is there a quorum present?
Yes, there is.
Awesome. So we will proceed to our action item. And the first action item is to approve the agenda. This was provided to you via email. Are there any changes that need to be made to the agenda? May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
A motion.
A second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay or raise your hand. Any abstentions? Okay. We will next review and approve the meeting minutes from our last meeting. They have also been emailed to you. Are there any corrections? If not, may I have a motion to approve the previous meeting's minutes?
I move to approve the previous meeting's minutes.
A second?
I second it.
All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay or raise your hand. Any abstentions? Okie dokie, we're going to move to our first discussion item, which is our school strategic plan, and Ms. Reagan will take care of that.
So good afternoon, everyone. I actually have discussion item 1, 2, and A and B. So if it's okay, I will just kind of move through that. Is that okay, Madam Chair?
Totally.
So I'll just move all the way through that until the principal's report. And then there is some discussion in there as well. So I'll get started and I'll share my screen. Is everyone able to see the screen? Awesome. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. As Ms. Spence stated, the same topics that are on the agenda are the same ones here. So I'm going to keep moving. These are the same things, like I said, as on the agenda. So we'll start with the strategic plan that we worked on, that lasts up until 2025. This is just a recap, of what we did on last year, when we ranked our priorities on our strategic plan, which is, and I'll show you, and I'll give you the details shortly, but previously we had literacy in the order of 1 to 5. We had literacy, attendance, build staff capacity and data analysis and decision making, and STEM integration. And with the Go Team approval, we changed it to keep it literacy first, building staff capacity with literacy instruction and math, and staff capacity and data analysis to number 3, and STEM integration and attendance to the 5th one. And this is the strategic plan specifically. So the same things I just called, that was just like a high level, but this is the same thing in more detail. And this is what we had come up with before. With the same priorities of increasing proficiency in literacy and math. Tier 1 instruction has to go place in both content areas, monitoring data, weekly assessments, small group instruction, and making sure that we are providing individualized instruction. Building the staff capacity, we thought that was important, with staff engagement of weekly meetings, implementing weekly and comment assessments to address the gaps, and making sure that number 3, data analysis and usage for instructional decision-making was taking place. And we do that through weekly data meetings and our collaborative planning process, which has a data protocol. And we are working to integrate STEM. Classrooms and grade levels are working on PBLs now to make sure we implement the STEM learning profiles and the STEM characteristics throughout all of the content areas. And as always, attendance is one of our focal points, but we have been doing better with it. So the Go Team last year decided to move that and to make sure that we are focused on our average daily attendance, which talks about utilizing the WCI team, which is the whole child intervention team, to track students' attendance, monitoring the reduction of chronically absent students as evidenced by our care team, and making sure we incentivize our students for coming to school. With the school improvement team, the leadership team, the continuous improvement goals for this year for the upcoming GMAS are as follows. The percentage of students in grades 3 through 5 scoring proficient or above in reading or ELA will increase from 12 to 17%. And we want to increase our beginning learners from 53 to 48% on this coming GMAS. For numeracy, which is also math, we want to increase from 13 to 18% in proficiency, and making sure that we decrease the scores in beginning from 50 to 45. And with attendance, which is our whole child intervention, making sure that we increase our daily CCRPI attendance, which is our state grade, from 60.3 to 62. So going into our data, just to let you know, after, of course, we have GMAS at the end of every school year, but we also have a benchmark, which is our MAP assessment. And what you'll see here is what took place in the fall. We took MAP at the beginning of this year, at the end of August, to see where students were and how they failed after the summer. And I will let you review that because we'll have some discussion about that as well. So what you see here is 2nd grade math and 2nd grade and reading. And just so you know, the dark green is our distinguished, which is above. We want to make sure most of our kids are in green. And then we want to make sure we are having some dark green in some places to kind of give you some context on what's needed. Right here is the number of students that took the test. And so we want to make sure that our yellow, when we review this with our next data, when we take the winter, we want to be able to compare the two to see that the red decreases and the green increases. So this is just to let you know where we are now. This is 2nd grade. They do not take the GMAS, but we do give them MAP assessment. And then that was math. This is reading. And so for reading, we have 21% proficiency for 2nd grade. So with the goals that I just showed you on a previous page, that's for the school building, but this is broken down by grade level. And then again, the same with math and reading. We want to decrease the red once we compare that with our winter MAP data that we're going to take in December. And so we'll look at the comparisons then, but this is where we are now. Third grade begins our tested grade. We have math at the top and reading here, number of exams. Again, we want to make sure that we are definitely increasing the green. I'll let you all peruse that. I won't read all the numbers to you because I'll kind of go back and forth and we'll discuss that shortly. Here's our fourth grade. A little more distinguished with reading, and with proficiency here for reading. So we want to make sure that we are adding some proficiency in math, although we do have 12% there, but we got to make sure that the red is decreasing. And in fifth grade, another tested grade, you see that we need to make sure we have some distinguished in both areas and decreasing because we definitely don't want over 50% there. So we are doing a lot in the classrooms with interventions, with Haggerty, with Morphine Magic, the new math curriculum, all of the things to make sure. So hopefully in December, and sometimes it's a little different because people are getting, the students are revamping their minds, but we do want to see some change. And then we'll also, if need be, we can talk about some other assessments because we know this is only one data point. So in GMAS, as a quick recap, in GMAS, which is the end of the year, which is what the state determines, I have on here a 3-year trend. So we've increased in third grade. And you'll hear me talking about the state superintendent today celebrating our third graders for their and the teachers for their literacy increase. And so we went from 7% in 2022 up to 12%, now to 21%. Fifth grade went up from 10 to 12 to 13. And our students with disabilities went up to 13%, which is really good. We made some decreases, which was what we wanted to do. From in third grade, from 72 to 67 to 50. And again, this is a 3-year trend. And fifth grade decreasing from 52 in the beginning, 53 to 52 to 48. And science from 66, this is just 23 and 24 to 65. We still have some work to do. It's only 1% decrease, but we want to get all our points and the wins how we can. And that's a synopsis of the GMAS for the spring. Here are some of our challenges that we had with the GMAS. We had for SWD, we had 100%, which is only 4 students. We want to make sure that those 4 students are not in the beginning level. For fourth grade, we want to work, we decrease in our proficiency, and proficiency is our goal. If you talk to any teacher, they'll tell you that our goal, we have our 3 Ps for this year, which is proficiency, productivity, and positivity. All of those, so we can make sure that we are proficient. So that's a heavy focal point for us as well, making sure that students are proficient. Which again, it may look like 3% is 2 kids or whatever, but we want to make sure that we are staying ahead of that. We increase the percentage of beginning learners in fourth grade math, but we want to make sure that's continuing to decrease. And then we remain stagnant with the proficiency for science. So we kind of were at the same thing for science, and we do get graded on the GMAS in science. And the reason here there was no math, this was a slide I shared with them, but it has been embargoed, but I'll be able to share some more math data with you. So since then, we had, as you know, we had an old curriculum. And so this year is our baseline year, which means, last year was our baseline year. We have a new curriculum. So last year they took the test just to see, and it didn't necessarily count against us. But this year, using the CCRPI, it will be counted against us. And on here, you'll see, and so since I'm giving you the ones that are tested, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, and not only on here will you see the general ed, you'll also see the special ed, which is our students with disabilities. And so right here, you can see this is all math. This was 2023. You can see, and we said that our goal was to decrease the red. And so we have, we did do some decreasing from 65 to 38, which is really, really good. And we wanted more green. And so you see we have more green here from 3% to proficient and above, that would be 18%. So we have made some gains in math. And so this year we have to compare it to this and make sure we're still making the same movement. And this is our special ed population. So this is where we just have 4%, this is 4%, so this is the other, this is general, not SWD. And then our 4%, our 4 students, we have 75%, that means 3 of them were in beginning and 1 of them is in developing. We really want all of them to either be developing, really proficient and above, because on the GMAS and the CCRPI points we get for the state, we don't get any points for red. And so we at least get a half of a point for those students and being in yellow. So we want to gain something. So we want to make sure the numbers are moving in the right direction. The same here with 4th grade. And so we have some areas where we are having to do some work. And again, this is with a new curriculum, and this particular area again did not count. It'll count this coming year in 25. And so based on a new curriculum, 4th grade decrease in the red, which is not what we wanted, but we are working diligently on that. And we decreased in all areas actually. And the students with disabilities right here is 10. And just so you know, if you have the 52 and 10, that equals all of the kids right here. So the same thing. But 10, we have 80 and 20. And so we don't have any proficient of the 10 students and students with disabilities. But that is also a focal point for, the district. The new superintendent has stated that our priorities this year in the district are literacy and special education. And so that is a focal point, which is why I wanted to show you the special ed group. And you'll see that on all of them. Now, the reason I didn't put it on here for 5th grade is because these kids are no longer here. So we're not working with these kids. These kids are now 6th graders. And so this is just showing you the general data that they did decrease and go up in proficiency as well. But again, these students are no longer here. All right, so if some of you all could come on to see, what do you notice? What are your wonderings? And based on some of the things that you see, is like the subgroups. The subgroups are the students with disabilities. What do you think stood out to you that showed that you weren't expecting or you wonder about? And you all can come off and we can ask Ms. Atunes, our secretary, to take notes. Or if you had any questions. Okay, so
I do want to say this, Ms. Reagan. I liked, enjoyed how you explained the data and what is going on with the data in our school. And I also liked how we are making some gains.
Okay. Anyone else have a notice or wondering, question and or comment? All right, going once, going twice. I'm going to move to the next slide. All right, so just to keep the agenda moving, we are here. In fall, we made a strategic plan. There was a needs assessment. Then we have the school leadership. We complete a SIP. Right now, we are using data, and the GO team will review and possibly update the strategic plan if we need to. Before winter break, we'll vote and rank the strategic plan again for our those priorities in preparation for the budget. But this is where we are now, just to let you all know the process and protocol for the GO team. You all have any questions about that so far? Okay, so this is new, and I think Ms. Jacoby is still on here. Ms. Jacoby, still on here?
Yes, ma'am, I'm still here.
I may need some help with this part. This is the optional school uniform component that is coming up. And I'll give my first little spiel about it, and then we can go into whatever protocol. So about 2 years ago, I attempted to try uniforms. Parents were receptive. The parents that responded were receptive. But I would notice when we got to school, there were only a pocket full of kids. We maybe have the younger kids and maybe a sprinkle out throughout the building. And we tried our best to incentivize and all of that. But one thing that I find, in elementary, dress code is not a big deal for me, only because, well, I'm not gonna say it's not a big deal. I would like for them to be in uniform. But in terms of consequences, so if a kid doesn't wear their uniform, we have limited resources. We do have some, but let's say a whole grade level doesn't have uniforms. We don't have enough to supply, nor are there any mandatory things with the district to say that they have to wear this. But if we decide that, I would spend more time not dealing with instruction or dealing with teachers and all of that about the dress code when the kids are actually behaving. So we don't have many behavior problems. We have pockets of behaviors, but those things are really manageable. So I know just for me, I was in middle school where discussion uniforms were pretty much more mandatory or more necessary because you have the young women sometimes a little more developed than they are in elementary school. And so it was a little more needed. Right now in elementary school, it was just really hard because some parents just said they were not going to do uniforms. They refused to put them on. They said they want to buy their own kids' clothes. And after a while, when you continue to hear that, you're spending your time on something that you have no recourse for, and there's nothing you can really do about it, so to speak, because the policy says that they can really wear their own thing. But if we decided to do that, uniforms, it would be up for discussion for the GO team. So that's my spiel. That is but it's based on what we decide as a GO team. And I'll keep moving. So this is moving on. In 2023-24, the board decided to update the dress code policy as a part of the update. So starting with 25-26, if we want to maintain or explore it, we have to go through this process. So for elementary, a school uniform is adopted upon the agreement of the principal and majority vote of the GO team. For middle school, it's adopted upon the GO team, and I'll let you all read it. That doesn't apply to us. So I'm assuming, is this the part where we can vote on this, Mr. Colby, or is there because this part is new for me.
So we had sent out a script. I don't know if the chair has that or not. But we had sent out a script to help with this part. But what the GO team is going to have to do is, so the slide that's up here now is what the policy says. So one of the things in the policy, as Principal Reagan said, is that the board decided that students cannot lose instructional time solely because they are not wearing a uniform. Right? Like they can't be barred from class, they can't be removed from instructional time. If your school wants to maintain or create a school uniform, an optional school uniform, because it is optional, they have to go through this process. So for the GO team, what your first vote is a yes/no vote as to either yes, we want to either we think we want to maintain what we have, or we want to investigate implementing an optional school uniform. If your GO team if no motion is made, or the motion isn't seconded, or the majority of members here vote no to that, then the discussion's over for this school year, and you can always bring it back up in subsequent school years if you want. If the GO team votes yes, that they do want to investigate maintaining or implementing an optional school uniform, then the GO team is going to create a uniform advisory committee, which will be charged with going through the engagement process, and our office will be sending out materials to help support that. And the uniform advisory committee will create a recommendation that they will then present to the GO team, that the GO team can then accept or reject or amend the recommendation from the committee. As you go down it, the committee may find, just like Principal Reagan was saying, that the parents are like, nope, we want to buy whatever we want to buy for our kids, put them in it and send them to school. So that's kind of right now, today, your first action is to vote up or down. Yes, we want to consider uniforms. No, we don't want to consider uniforms. And if you vote yes, then there's some subsequent slides in there to help you set up the uniform advisory committee. Does that help?
That definitely can help. So I'm not a voting member, so I can't motion, right?
No, you cannot vote, but you are pivotal and you know, you are allowed to be part of the discussion and you are allowed to kind of say how things are going in the building.
Right, so I'm saying, can I motion?
No, you yourself cannot motion,
Uh,
but you can, wait a second, you are a full member of the team, so you can request that somebody else on the team make a motion.
Okay, so I request that somebody make a motion that we do not explore uniforms.
I would first like to, I feel like I don't understand the why behind why school, what are there long-standing, researched reasons why we have some schools that have kids in uniforms? Does it help with instruction? Are uniformed schools more likely to be academically, socially successful? And or vice versa? What's the data behind uniforms before we just make a decision based on this?
Ms. Jacoby, I don't have this was a board decision.
Yeah, I don't have any data on that. I know in terms of Atlanta Public Schools, mostly it has just been the school culture, some of this. But there really hasn't been a whole lot of engagement with the community. So that's part of why the board implemented this, is because they want community buy-in. They didn't want it to be just decided through school leadership. Let me see if I can find.
Reiterate, it's not that I'm against school uniforms. I actually like school uniforms, and like I stated, we actually attempted to do this a few years ago, actually like 2. And we worked to incentivize and do some things with the students that had it and tried to make sure we were providing. It's just exhausting when the adults, it's not a kid issue, it's an adult concern. It's because the adults have to buy the uniforms for them. The adults have to make sure they wear it every day. Although we're saying that because there's no policy to say, hey, the parent has to do X, Y, and Z, even if we vote on it, there's still no policy or recourse. If a child, they say spend a night at a cousin's house and they come and we call and say, hey, my parent, I had to stay at my aunt's house last night. There's still nothing we can do. So my goal is to make sure they are teaching. And I guess for me, if we had, like, for instance, gang issues or behavior issues or what have you, I would probably press it a little bit more, but our scholars are pretty much on a majority basis well behaved. I would say at least 90%. And so that's not where we need them to come to school and be focused and focus on literacy. I'm not saying I would love to have uniform if I had parental support, but I don't have any recourse because I can't control parents.
And Ms. Reed, just to let you know, a really quick internet search. It's like anything else in not anything else. It's like most other cultural things in education, in that it really doesn't have an impact. We know that the things that are most impactful in school are high quality instructors, high quality curriculum, high expectation. The uniforms, again, this is from a quick internet search, so I'm not saying that this is like deep level dive, but what I did from a quick internet search, it looks like uniforms are like anything else around culture. In some communities, they might have a positive impact because as Principal Reagan said, the community might be more open to it. In others, maybe not, because the community isn't. So those are just to let you know what I found briefly. But again, this is a board policy. I don't have all the background as to, any research one way or the other. I do know from the board discussions that one of the largest things that they were concerned with were students missing instructional time solely because they were not wearing a uniform. Not because what they were wearing was inappropriate in any other way. if you go back and review the board meetings and the committee meeting around this policy, that was one of their largest concerns. Does that make sense?
Thank you both for your clarity around that.
No problem. I think Ms. Spence had a comment. Did you have a comment, Ms. Spence?
Yeah, isn't the uniform policy optional now?
Right, but they,
Can't hear
I
you.
can't hear you.
can't hear me?
You're
Principal
very
Reagan,
low.
we can't
Brianna,
hear
I think
you.
you need to, yeah, there you go.
Was some, okay, so it's optional now, still. But I think just with them changing the policy, it's become a topic. And so there is still, it says students are free to wear their apparel. Let's see. Students are able to choose their attire. So enforcement will not, should not result in unnecessary barriers to school attendance. Dress code enforcement shall be carried out with clarity, consistency, and should result in equitable outcomes across the district. Like, for me as the principal, I do want the kids in school. I don't want to hold kids out of school because they don't have a uniform. Everybody's situation is different. And some of the kids that don't have some uniforms are some of our brightest kids. And so that's a parent thing. And it's not any of the kids' fault or determination. Like I said, I would like it if our parents were on board, but I cannot control parents. And so with that, I want to focus on what I can control, and that's the students in the building. And if they come with the fully clothed, body parts covered, and respectful, I'm fine with that.
I do have one question. Would that include shoes as well?
Yes, that does include shoes. I think there's something they have on here, students may not wear flip-flops, athletics.
Okay, I see it.
That does not put them in the back. So even if they have the prop, they ask that you put the athletic piece on the back, just so there has a front and a back support.
Okay, so if let's just say, for example, my child wanted to wear their Crocs to school, would that be punishable or is that okay?
Okay, if they put the
Okay,
strap on it, as long as
yeah,
strapped up, I think that's fine.
okay.
I mean, Principal Reagan, if you can scroll back up a little bit for me, thank you. The requirements are just an opaque top, opaque bottoms, and those shoes that support the front and back of the foot, and that you're not showing your underwear. So I've had this question from some schools. So can kids come in pajamas? Based off of this policy, the answer is yes. So long as it's non-see-through, covers your underwear, and they're wearing appropriate shoes.
But more than likely, I would kindly request, just so you all know as a team.
Yeah.
I would request a parent not bring their children in pajamas, but I would activate, wear their just regular clothes. But some of them financially have concerns about just having to purchase uniforms and such. So that's I don't, like I said, I guess can't control adults. Not the parents anyway. So I'll make that request again. I think unless anybody has any other questions, I request that we motion to table uniforms unless it becomes an issue. Unless dress code becomes a problem. Right now, it's not a problem. So I would need somebody to motion something.
I move that we table the table the opinion, the statement of making of the uniforms. I don't think I said that right, but I move that we will, I move that we will consider not having, the option of uniforms. Is that good? I guess so.
Hmm.
I need to write.
And then somebody will need to second the motion.
I second.
Okay. I think I wrote it out. It makes, it's better. I move that we will not consider the optional uniform policy. Okay. And it's.
Okay, well, all in favor, or is there any other discussion that needs to be made? I mean, I disagree. I think that we should at least go through the engagement process to see if we want to continue it. But we have a motion on the floor, and if there's no other discussion, we can go ahead and vote on it. All right, all in favor of tabling the optional uniform policy, raise your hand or say aye.
Everybody has to vote.
It's probably best if, for those go-to members that are present, if you come off of mute and say your name and say how you vote to the motion. So you can say aye, which is that you want to table the motion. You can say nay, which is that you do not want to table the uniform discussion, or you can abstain, which is no vote cast.
Tina Quinn, no vote passed.
Jen James abstained. I'm at fault at the vote.
Kristen Reed abstained.
Brianna Spence, nay.
Right, that's
Abstain.
okay. So because you had 4 abstentions and 1 nay, that means that the motion fails. So you are not tabling the uniform discussion, which means that you all will now have to move forward with creating the Uniform Advisory Committee. Because of the way the motion was worded. Does that make sense, y'all? Okay, so if we can go back on the slides, please.
1 second. Let me go back.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. All right, so we went over that part. So I'll go through here. We have one district-wide student dress code adopted by the Atlanta Board of Education. School-specific dress codes may not contradict board policy. Examples of problematic school-specific dress code provisions. I'll let you all read that silently. All right, I'm gonna move forward. It's just some examples of some specific things that have been stated. So we know that effective immediately, no time, students will have the instructional time interrupted or be barred from school or class because they can't wear the optional uniform. All right, so the GO team will now discuss if we're moving forward. So with abstaining, we said we are doing the committee. So the School Uniform Advisory Committee will be responsible for developing a stakeholder engagement plan to receive feedback on implementing a uniform and its components if adopted. It must include a minimum 20-day public comment period on any proposed uniform. The recommending optional school, number 2, recommending the optional school uniform components. 3, establishing the student voting timeline and process if necessary. Number 4, determine the length of time the uniform will be in use before consideration or before reconsideration. And number 5, developing a communication plan to inform the school community about adoption, about the optional school uniform if the uniform is adopted. And number 6, other objectives as defined by the GO team. Are there any questions about that? So the committee will be responsible for a plan and communication and all the 1 to 6 components. The GO team will also need to determine who will be on the committee. The GO team chair will name the committee chair. No more than 2 GO team members can be on the committee, a maximum of 3. And the committee must have at least 3 students that I will, the other community members, committee members may be added as determined by the GO team. So the elementary must have 3 student ambassadors. And we can recommend inclusion of those students. And then elementary schools without student ambassadors recommend inclusion of 3 students as selected by myself with a GO team input.
Principal Reagan, if I may, at elementary schools, you are not required to have students. It's just highly recommended.
We do have student ambassadors at our Beta Club though. I don't have the names off the top of my head, but I guess we can go back up to number 1. The GO team chair will name the committee chair.
Do we have any members that are volunteering to be on the committee and to be the committee chair? I feel like our GO team in and of itself is so small, with such, all of our members don't participate. And so it's going to be kind of difficult to kind of form a committee. Do we need to? So since that last motion failed, does that automatically mean that we're going into establishing the committee, or do we need to also have a motion to decide if that's what we're going to do?
So you guys can revisit the question and frame it in a positive, which is the motion if you look at the script, the motion is to move forward with do we want to move forward with establishing a school uniform advisory committee to either establish or maintain school uniform? So if it's yes, then you move forward. If it's no, then you don't. Again, only one of you voted and it's majority vote. So that's why because of the way the motion was worded, it was to move to table it, which was basically, to stop talking about it and stop moving forward. But if you guys want to take another vote, you're welcome to. But I would recommend wording the motion more clearly in the positive. If we vote yes, we move forward. If we vote no, we stop. Does that help, Ms. Spence?
Yes, it helps.
Okay.
I don't know if it's actually gonna help if, but I'll try it. So I'm gonna move that we continue the conversation about uniforms, an optional uniform policy. Does that fit in what you were saying, Mr. Jacoby?
Yes, because if you're going to continue it, if the 5 Go Team members that are here vote in the majority to continue moving with a uniform discussion, then what you all are saying is that you want to form this committee and go through the engagement process, which would go through spring semester so that the committee would then bring a recommendation to the Go Team to accept, reject, or amend. Right? If the majority of Go Team members here vote in the negative, that no, they do not want to continue, then this motion is finished for now and could be reconsidered in the 25-26 school year or any time beyond that. Because in order to establish an optional school uniform for the 25-26 school year, by the end of spring semester, the Go Team needs to approve it, which is why we're giving the committee the full school year to go through that engagement process. Does anybody have any questions about what I just explained? Is that clear to y'all? Yes, no, hello?
I think it's clear. I was just wondering, can we have time to come together to write the motion? Because I mean, I know I was trying to state it and see how I think that and come together and then present the motion, or do we need to present the motion now?
Ms. Spence just gave a motion.
Yes. Okay. And she said, I move that we move forward.
Yeah, I think she can restate it, but then you vote yes or no to what she stated.
Okay.
Ms. Spence, can you state your motion again?
Yes, I move that we continue with discussing the optional uniform policy at our next Go Team meeting.
I'm sorry, Ms. Spence, the decision needs to be made by the team. October 31st is the deadline for it. So you all can have that discussion right now so you can make the motion, somebody can second the motion. You all can have the discussion if you want to establish this committee and move forward. But the deadline for that is October 31st. And I don't think you have another meeting between now and next week.
Okay, so before I make the motion, I'm gonna ask the members if we do decide, if we do go forward with the motion, or if it does pass, if there's anyone that would be willing to participate in the committee.
I will, Ms. Spence.
Okay, I just don't want to make the motion and everybody abstain, and then I say yes, and then it passes, and nobody wants to do it. Is that understandable?
Participate on the committee for the uniform.
Yeah, for the engagement piece, yes.
Okay, yes, I will.
Okay, so I move that we continue the discussion on the optional uniform policy.
I hate to do this to you, Ms. Spence, but it looks like y'all have lost quorum. 'Cause
I'm
Ms.
sorry.
Reed- Ms.
I think
Reed's
we
no
did.
longer here. She fell off.
Okay, well, so with that, we can't make any real decisions anyway, right?
No, you can't. You
Mhm.
can't take any more votes.
So we can
because-
just move on.
So,
Right.
so I can make a note. When, do you know when your next meeting is, Principal Reagan?
Let me look on my calendar. I'm saying, who do we lose? Ms. Quinn?
November 14th.
It's, yeah.
I can-
So if you all want, you can, I will make a note that you lost, quorum. And you can finish this discussion on November 14th as an action item and have that decision of the team. It would be my recommendation that for the 4 members that are not currently present, that you reach out and make sure that they're going to be able to make that meeting. Because as you point out, Ms. Spence, when there's only 5 members participating, it's really hard to get that, to have enough members for like the committee and that kind of thing. So. Is that thumbs up? Good?
Sounds good to me.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Jolie. I'm going on to the principal's report, which is the Dobbs Elementary Leveling and FY 25 budget adjustment. So basically, leveling happens after day 15. And for those who don't know what leveling is, that's when after an attendance count, schools level off in terms of enrollment to either gain, when they gain or lose students, they either gain an employee or they lose an employee based on projection. So what you see here is projected enrollment for this year was 285. At our 15-day count, which was August 21st, 24, we were at 297, which is a difference of us gaining 12 students. And I'm happy to say as of today, we are at 345. So we are still enrolling students. But at that day, we were at 297. But leveling is the process they use to adjust budget allocation. And our budget adjustment, and I'm going to explain this part, was $148,200. So this is from last year. We had a reserve that the district gave, but they cut everybody's reserve in half. We are in a $100 million budget deficit in Atlanta Public Schools. And so from the reserves, each school's budget got cut in half. So right now, currently, well, when we got our last project, this is what they were putting in, is 35,000 from the reserve. Family engagement funds, this again was from the previous budget for planning for this year, $8,640. And this is the summary that we got straight from the finance department. Like I stated, our projected enrollment is 285, 15-day enrollment, 297, a difference in 12, and the $5,334 is the per pupil allocation. So for those 12 kids, that would equal $64,000 and $64,008. And like I stated, our reserves is 35,016. This is only 1% of our student success fund allocation. And right now it's already in our account. The Title I adjustment was 4,176. We did not have any adjustments to our family engagement. We're not on school improvement anymore. We did gain 45,000 security grant, but that has stipulations. And one of the things we have when we have field day, and we can talk about this in a different team, but I just want to tell you some of the things that we can use it for. Could be for cameras, badging, all of that. One of the things, we have a lot of students for safety reasons if we're going to lockdown. We have classrooms without blinds, so we're making sure those, which is a small amount of that. And then when we have field day on the top field, we are exploring a security fence so that when students are on the field, civilians cannot just walk around, and so our students will remain safe. That still doesn't take up, we're actually working on a quote now to make sure to see how much a fence would cost because it's a very large area out there. Just to give you an idea of what that is new for all schools for this year. And again, it has to be for certain stipulations. we don't have any carryover funds. So if you, add up all of these, 64,000, 35,000, the 4,000 and the 45, you get 148,200, which was what we are leveling adjustment. So that's the summary of that. With that adjustment, we gained a paraprofessional. We gained we actually gained 2 paraprofessionals for our autism unit. And we have one from another APS school, which is in our K2 unit. And then we are actually getting ready to hire for the other one. And basically the reason that this was the summary of the changes, the addition of 2 new autism professionals in response to enrollment leveling will enhance the support and structure for our autism students with additional staff members, because we want to be in compliance with that. We can meet the better individualized needs of students, providing more targeted intervention in small groups and classroom support, so we can improve outcomes, so allowing our teachers to focus on effective differentiated instruction for all students, diverse learning, and thriving academically and socially. So this is moving to our announcements. So we are in the midst of Red Ribbon Week. I don't know how I left that off, but I can add it on there quickly. We are in the midst of Red Ribbon Week, but that's on your agenda, and I'll put that on the PowerPoint slide. So when it's posted to the website, it's on there. But I wanted to make sure everybody knew that we have live JWD News on every day on our YouTube channel every morning at 7:45. So I will have Miss Antunes send out the link for that. So if people wanted to join the live every morning, they could. We had a successful book fair during the week of October 7th. Our reading buddies have begun. Reading buddies come in the building and they have a buddy and they work with students on skills that they necessarily need. We had a very successful academic tailgate and Hispanic heritage celebration. And our academic tailgate basically entailed students explaining to their parents their goals of their academic success, where they scored on math, and what they plan to achieve when we take the math again. And it was a student-led conference so that they could take ownership and have some accountability of their learning. And parents were invited to have a tailgate since it's football season. And we had food and such for parents and staff. And our Hispanic community, that they did a great job of also providing us some food from the Hispanic culture. And it was very, very tasty, I must say. We have started our world languages. So we have a Spanish class now for our 4th and 5th grade, which is on Wednesdays. We don't have the personnel enough and the funds enough for the full-time person, but we have started it for 4th and 5th grade so that when they get ready to go to middle school, they are prepared. One thing, I'm gonna get to the literacy leaders last. It is Family Engagement Month coming up next month, and we have the food pantry coming up as well as curriculum night. All of those things are coming up in November, as well as our Thanksgiving luncheon. And I'll add all of those on there. One thing I do want to add, we had a Literacy Leaders Award today. We were recognized from our superintendent, Richard Woods, in the state for our 24.5% growth in 3rd grade literacy. And so we are really excited about that. I took the teachers to Carver High School today, and we received a banner that we'll hang in the main office to display what happened. So we're really excited about that, and we're looking for more ribbons to add to that as well. And at the bottom I'll fix it. It's just that Fall Festival is happening now as we are in Go Team. I was out for 6 weeks. Had some major surgery, and somehow the dates got crossed, but I didn't want to change the Go Team because it's really, really hard to get these on the calendar. And so they're proceeding with that. So they're at the Fall Festival and a trunk and treat happening right now. And that's all I have for the announcements and things that are happening around us. Do I have any questions?
Mm-mm. Oh, man.
That is it for me. I think if we don't have any more questions, I think Ms. Antunes, I think that's on you to adjourn the meeting.
No, because I've never done this. I might need a little help.
Ms. Spence, I don't have a script in front of me. Ms. Spence, can you?
Yes, I was not contacted about any public comment because today was supposed to be a public comment meeting. So we're gonna keep going. We ready to adjourn? We
Yes,
have reached the end of our agenda. Is there any additional business? If not, may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I motion, sorry.
A second?
Second it.
All in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? The meeting is adjourned at 5:02. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Reagan,
darling.
quick question. All the middle parts were a little confusing for me. I was trying to keep up with everything. I can always go back to this live stream on YouTube. Okay, I got as much as I could down. I just wanted to make sure I can go back.
I can forward you this PowerPoint, but it's also gonna be posted on the website. You want me to forward this to you?
Okay, it's just for my notes, so I can have it in the folder for the Go team
Okay,
for the school year,
will it forward it to you?
please. Thank you so much. I'm
And always,
yeah.
I done popped on before, but if you had any questions, like she's really familiar with the
Yeah.
but not a problem. I can forward it to you. And I need to get it to our communications person to put it on our website. Usually, typically, I PDF it so it doesn't change, and then I can send it to you.
Okay, sounds good. I just want to make sure I get everything right.
Okay, Ms. Spence,
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
you need
No.
All right. Everybody have a good evening. Can't hear you.
talking Ms. Spence, but you can have.
Oh, thank you.
Are you going around and down the way?
I'm currently in the cafeteria painting nails.
And doing Go Team at the same time?
Writing my notes and all.
Just reading your comments, girl. I didn't even have the comments up. I see what I think it got the.
We still on YouTube.
Okay. I'll come to the cafeteria. Have a great.